MSF was one of the biggest actors in this response to the Ebola outbreak in West Africa in all 3 countries. The transmission from the big outbreak, which affected more than 28,000 people in West Africa, is over. Especially in the beginning, we were one of the only actors helping to support the Ministry of Health. We treated over 5,000 patients, half of which survived. It was quite a difficult time and something that we had never seen before, so MSF, we also learned quite a lot.
Other women began to say, "Me too." A Me Too movement exposed the deep roots of sexual coercion throughout the working environment.
He will become an all-conquering king, a Chakravarti Raja, a wheel-turning monarch. But if he leaves home to seek a deeper knowledge of reality, he will become an all-knowing, perfect Buddha. The Dharma is like a city. It's all beautifully well organized. And there's the teachings about the mind, and there's the teachings about the real world, and there's the teachings about ethics. And they're all neatly... Antidepressant sales are booming, and other addictive drugs spread like wildfire. Pinkers is really about the Western Enlightenment of the 17th century, or precisely the triumph of rationality and science over religion. And what Stephen doesn't know is that that triumph happened in the 6th century before the Common Era.
If you know accounting, these $45,000 are referred to as the book value of the assets. That is the value of the assets the firm owns at the... We can use this equation to solve for the level of purchases that our assumptions imply. Finally, using this level of purchases to compute daily purchases and
Now, who were the Buddha's colleagues in that global era? In Iran, you had Zoroaster providing the codes for the Achaemenid Empire. In Babylon, Deutero-Isaiah led the group that collected the Jewish Bible. In India, the Upanishadic sages like Yajnavalkya, who rebelled against the ritualism of the Vedic ritual tradition. Then you had Mahavira, who founded Jainism. And finally, Shakyamuni, known as the Buddha.
Think about the early post-war years, the late 1940s and 50s for a minute. Remember that the Iron Curtain separating the communist from the non-communist world had fallen in 1947. The United States lost China in 1949 when the communists finally won their long war to gain control over the country. By the early 1950s, the Soviets and the United States were engaged in a battle to see who could produce the biggest and most powerful hydrogen bomb. In 1950, the Truman administration went to war in Korea, an undeclared war designed to thwart Chinese territorial ambitions. In 1954, the Soviet Union and the US launched a space race that culminated in 1957, when Sputnik circled the Earth. The United States seemed to be coming in second in a frantic competition for space. An escalating fight against communism, amounting to panic, turned to the family and religion to save America from the consequences of the spies who supposedly lived within its borders. The role of the housewife in that context was to be a model mother, to raise her children as good citizens. Her job was to so support and construct the family that it would become a fortress against the ideological threats of the outside world. Mothers could play a role in identifying subversive school teachers or libraries that had the wrong kinds of books.
I think there is a lot in this, Frank. For now, let's think about the idea that you're ashamed and angry when you experience a wave of strong grief. Does that happen a lot?
Yes, it actually does. I kept getting hit with these waves, and it always makes me feel ashamed and angry. Pretty much just like what I said. Wouldn't you feel that way? You are a grown person who other people rely on and turn to, and you can't even control yourself.
I guess that's one way to see it.
My name is Sharon Akabas. And my name is Eleanor Sterling.
And together we teach food, ecology, and globalization.
The point of the course is to really introduce students to how do we produce food, how do we market food, how do we use food, and how do we dispose of food, and the various choices that go into all along that trajectory. We redesigned the course to take into account the varied background of the students, but also try to think through ways we could better represent food systems and choices around foods in a systems perspective.
We wanted everyone to improve in terms of their critical thinking skills and their ability to assess claims and evaluate evidence.